living off the grid in a fruitarian diet for almost 20 years. Come to learn with me how you can live more sustainably and healthy, with spending less money and having more quality of life. Do you want to know more about fasting and how to live a healthy life, or even raw vegan recipes? Hygienic Fasting, Nature Surgery, and the book Natural Delicacies, Cooking Without a Stove are available on Amazon, and Hygienic Fasting is actually available on print on demand, so you can receive it at your home. But I also have 8 books published, 6 online courses, retreats here in Brazil, and I attend patients online in private sessions. Unfortunately, all the other books and the online courses are still only available in Portuguese. But if you want my help as a nutritionist, or even if you want to come to a retreat in Brazil, just sign up. The contact will be on the website and in the links below. And please don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell button for notifications, comment, share the video. If you do all those, you are going to help the channel to grow. If we grow, you grow together, getting more vital, life-changing information, and help yourself and others to make this a more healthy and better planet for all of us. I changed to a fruit-based diet almost 20 years ago, and I dreamed of planting my own food, having a house more close to nature in a smaller city so I could have a more healthy life. And what we plant, what we sow, is what we harvest. So I'm harvesting right now these coconuts and all these fruits because I dreamed and did a lot of things to be able today. So I'm going to teach you my main tips to how to become sustainably and to show you a little bit of how a fruitarian lives more close to nature. The first tip is a solar panel. For sure, it was one of the best investments I did back then, around 7 years ago, to be able to have a more clean energy, but also spending a lot less. I probably saved several $1,000s, and I will continue to save for more 20 years. That is probably the solar panel lifetime. So you can take a look a little bit in the surroundings also. When I came here, there was no trees whatsoever. The land was like free. And nowadays it's like, it became a forest, a small forest, my own Garden of Eden. And we have the beach over there because we live close to Rio de Janeiro, in Saquarema. So living close to the beach is also, there is a lot of health benefits. Even being close to the ocean, you can smell the ocean's air and actually have an intake of iodine. Yes, just by breathing the air close to the ocean, you have an intake of iodine by your breathing. You don't even have to eat it, but also when you are close to the sea, you have higher iodine intake because of the soil. So the solar panel, I don't have a battery for it, so I can't store the energy. So if there's no electricity in the city, I end up being without electricity as well, because I generate and give to the electricity company. You can buy a battery for your solar panels, but that will cost a lot more. The second tip would be water capture or water harvesting. We capture the water from the rains and we store it. We have several water gutters around the buildings, like that one, for example. You cannot see the water gutter from this building, but it's up there close to the... And then there's these pipes that brings down the water, and it's actually stored in these big water boxes, water reservoir. Here you can see on the ceiling the water gutters, and this would be like a filter. When the water drops in here, they're filters, so you can actually use even chloride gums that you put in here so it can chloride the water. It can filter, actually helps to clean the water. The third tip, so solar panel, water gutters for water harvest, and also the third tip would be for sure plant your own food, but not just any food, primarily to plant fruits. Although it's not that simple depending on your climate, I would suggest that you focus more on a fruticulture, because after the tree have grown, you have a lot less work to actually produce a lot of food, because the usual foods like potatoes, you have to plant it again and again and again. Vegetables, for example, you have to plant it again and again and again. But fruits, the tree will always produce fruits every year without too much effort of yourself. You just have to prune it and maybe water it a little bit and fertilize the soil of the plant a little bit, but that's it. So you have less time spent when you plant fruits. You have, in my humble opinion, a way more tastier, more flavor foods, and also a way more healthy food because a lot more nutrients. And you also save time because you can eat it raw without processing, cooking it. So there's not too much effort in eating as well. So you end up saving time and money with a fruit garden. So I do plant a lot of vegetables, but you can take a look around and we will walk around a little bit to show you the surroundings. But yeah, for sure, I live in Rio de Janeiro, so I can have coconuts. So you have to, depend on where you are, you have to plant fruits adapted to your climate and soil. Yes, here I would love to have durians, for example, but I'm not managing to grow durians because I'm in subtropical region. Durians would grow better in a tropical region. Here the amount of rains are usually less than the tropics. So also the soil is not as moisty, not as wet, and not as that black dirt, that black soil that is actually more fertile to fruits. But still, I managed to plant a lot of good tropical fruits here. Some grow, some don't. So you end up having to try a little bit. You have to, or plant a lot of seeds or buy some seedlings. I usually buy some seedlings. I use it to buy smaller ones, but nowadays the trees that I know that are harder to grow in here, I try to buy a bigger tree already. A tree that is more mature, like 2 years, 3 years. That will cost a little bit more, but you save not just time, maybe in harvesting the fruits sooner, so you end up saving money as well, but you also don't have as much work in taking care of it, and maybe the fruit tree ends up dying. So I have already a video in here showing what fruits to plant in your garden. I suggest you to watch it. I'll put the link in the description, but you also can find the best fruits to plant in your garden. It's a really good video to see what varieties of fruits I have around. So one of the main things I did, and I think it's really, really important, is planting these seedlings that I buy. Like I buy always the maybe 1 year old, 2 year old trees, and then I put in a really big pot. I buy the best composted soil that I can find, put a lot of soil in it and put the fruits and keep like watering for maybe a year or two until the tree grows even bigger, and then I plant in the soil. But one tip that helps a lot for the trees to grow without them dying, because here it's under the mango trees, so they don't get full sun. So they don't need as much water and they keep protected from dehydration. I think they grow easier until I can plant them in the soil. But the other tip I can give you is that I usually plant vegetables also here instead of directly to the soil, because when you plant vegetables to the soil, the weeds keep growing and growing, and to take out all the weeds without damaging any plants, it's pretty tough. Without damaging any vegetables, it's pretty tough. So maybe I was taking out some weeds, and then you take the root out of the basil or the kale, and you end up losing your vegetable. So separating the weeds from the vegetables is hard. So I would suggest you or to do like I did here. You can see I planted all my kales in here. Or you can also do a raised bed as I see a lot in American videos, people planting. They do raised beds with wood. That's an option as well. I found this one just easier because I'm not good with tools and wood and, you know, creating stuff. Just saves me time because I don't plant most of my vegetables. I end up not planting also because I travel a lot. So vegetables, you have to be here to eat. So we end up losing a lot of stuff. So I think it's easier to, you know, spend a 50 cents of a dollar just to buy some vegetables at the farmer's market. So here I have like durian, dates, sonkoya, meringue, green sapote, tangerines, sempedak, abil, and a lot of other varieties. So if you think about it, you end up saving a lot, but a lot of money, because these tropical fruits, these tropical rare fruits like I have here, black sapote, for example, if you end up paying for each fruit, you don't even have access to these fruits usually. But if you want to buy them, it will be really, really expensive. So you can eat all these rare tropical fruits that are really, really tasty. It's much easier to maintain a healthy diet when you have really, really good fruits at your disposal. And also, it's such a pleasure to be planting, touching the soil, interacting with the trees, see them growing, see the fruits growing, you know, like, so it's such a healthy and happy feeling that is worth to plant all these foods and, you know, to harvest them and to see them grow. And for me at least, I'm really grateful for being able to getting this knowledge of planting fruits and, you know, the benefits of what nature gives us and the interaction with it. The gases that the phytoncides that the plant secretes are anti-cancer, anti-diabetes. So you get so much benefits. Why not to have, you know, like your own Garden of Eden, you know, and be able to extract all these benefits that nature gives us. One interesting thing about this lifestyle, it doesn't have any chemicals in it. First of all, I eat primarily fruits and vegetables. All the dishes that I use ends up don't needing to use detergent on them to clean them. So I just clean all my dishes and pans and bowls and anything with plain water and a natural brush. And I keep all this water that I clean then and put in big buckets with all the peels that from my fruits and all the seeds from the fruits I eat. So I end up taking the buckets to the garden and just throwing the water that I use to clean the dishes with these seeds on the fruits, because there's no detergent, there's no chemical soap or anything like that. So for example, like this, I ended up planting a tomato here just by throwing the water in it, because the soil here for this fruit tree is actually really fertilized with natural manure from cows and composted soil. I always cover the soil also with a lot of leaves and a lot of organic material, so the soil becomes more moisty and more nutrient rich because of the decomposing of these parts of these dead plants. You can take a look here. For example, this is a mamey sapote tree, but there's a mango tree growing over here, and there's 4 papayas over here growing also, just because I threw the seed on the floor with the water that I cleaned from dishes. So I'm watering the plants, and I'm also growing another fruit trees on besides it. Afterwards, I can just, you know, dig these small seedlings and take them somewhere to replant them in another place so they don't grow close to the sapote. As a city boy apartment that never get any contact whatsoever with planting fruits or farms and anything like that, it's pretty funny to buy cow shit. You know, I spent some money on cow shit, and you just like... You have to throw a lot of water in them because it's the first time. And also I let it out on the sun a little bit, so the leaves got a little bit of dehydrated. So after you throw a lot of water, what I like to do is to cover with dead organic material. A lot, the more the better, because they decompose, give nutrients, and also protect the tree from dehydration. And I usually use these pieces of wood to protect the tree while it's small. When we come with tools to clean the weeds, we don't end up damaging the tree. So you can see that there's a fruit tree over here. For sure people can see it, but still, it's better to protect it. You can also see if the tree is alive just by scratching a little bit with your nail. If it's green, the tree is still alive. I end up trying to alternate a lot of different fruits and also use pitayas, the dragon fruit, for example. I try to use bananas also as a fertilizer for making the soil more rich, because the bananas will give a lot of organic material. After the fruits harvest, you kill the tree and you end up using a lot of its water and a lot of its nutrients to nourish the soil. All these papayas were planted also without even having to plant, right? It grew naturally because of throwing the seeds on the soil. This is guanabana, the soursop, but like a spiky soursop. Pumpkins also, they grow just because I'm throwing the seeds on the soil. There's like 3 or 4 pumpkins just here, because where I throw the water is actually where there's more rich soil that I use to plant the trees, so it grows pretty easy. Here's passion fruits, for example, growing naturally as well. So this is the new garden, right? I just planted this one like a year ago, a year and a half maybe. We also use ropes to help the dragon fruit to keep growing up and keep on this post, to help the dragon fruit to grow up in conjunction with this wood. Look at the size of this pumpkin. It's almost ready to harvest. The banana trees that keep close to the wall, because it's the lower part of the land, it gets more moist in here, so they grow even better. You can see that they have more leaves. And I also use the papayas, not just for shading these new plants. For example, this is meringue. So I'm using the papaya tree not just for shading, but also to get its leaves and use it back in the soil. See, I would just use the leaves from the papaya to cover the meringue, for example, in this case. This is, for example, beans that are really important to plant in the soil to make the soil more fertile, because help with nitrogen. Look at the size of this banana. And I also cut the hearts, because the heart of the banana pulls a lot of energy from the plant. So when you cut the heart, you have bigger banana bunch if you cut the heart. This is amber jackfruit. It's considered the best variety of jackfruit and it's growing pretty well. You can see that it has composted soil, some cow's manure, and a lot of organic material on top of it to help it grow. And also we grow cassava. Not because I eat cassava, because as a fruitarian, there's no way to eat it, but we use it to help the soil, because the roots help the water get into the soil and get the soil moisty. And also I use the leaves and these parts to nourish the trees. Let's take a look at what I eat and how I plant it. This is guandu, another kind of bean, and this is a small banana seedling growing as well. I try to plant in lines. In the beginning I didn't know this trick, but now I know. I try to plant in lines, so between the lines we plant a kind of grass that grows a lot, so you can mold this grass and throw all of it dead in the lines. So you know where to clean and where to throw the composted material. Like for example, this is the line. So you have a lot of fruit trees in the line, and this is an intersection of the line. So there's nothing here because we clean it, we cut all the grass and just throw to the line. So the line is always more healthy and more moist. So I have been following a fruit-based diet for almost 18 years, as I said. So this will be my lunch, somewhat my lunch. Probably I will eat a little bit more and also some nuts and seeds in the end of this. But the way I do it is I eat a lot of fruit to satiate me until dinner, right? Because I just eat 2 meals. So I will eat primarily what is in season, like bananas, papayas, tangerines, oranges, jackfruit, mangoes, persimmons, watermelons, melons, but for sure, I can eat a lot of other stuff if it's available. I would love to have durian every day and things like that. My carbohydrates, maybe 70% of my calories, 80% of my calories comes from fruits. The other comes from vegetables. I eat a lot of vegetables at dinner, like half a kilo, 1 kilo. I will ask Murilo, our video editor and filmmaker, to show it. And also my fridge. I have like 3 fridges at my home because I run retreats, but also because I like to buy in bulk when it's really cheap, so I can store it and, you know, spend less time going to the farmer's market and also less money when it's really cheap or when it's really ripe. So as soon as I get home, I store my stuff. Some stuff goes to the freezer, some stuff goes to the fridge, and some stay out. If the fruits is ripe already, like the bananas, I put in the fridge. The skin gets a little bit dark, but that's not an issue. It's just oxidizing, but the fruit inside is actually more tastier. But if I have a lot of fruit, for example, I can dehydrate the fruit. Like these dehydrated bananas, I can use like a dessert in the end of my meals, or I can blend them with water, or I can even rehydrate them. I can do a lot of stuff with them. Primarily, I will eat 2 or 3 kilos of fruit at noon, and then a kilo and a half of vegetables, some legumes like chickpeas, lentils, peas at dinner with some nuts and maybe some mushrooms, maybe algae. I can eat a lot of stuff at dinner, but at lunch, it's usually fruits and a little bit of nuts and seeds at the end. I can use the dehydrator to dehydrate some fruits if I'm going to lose them. These tangerines, these oranges are all from the garden. You can see that they are really sun damaged appearance of organic fruits, because we are usually used to buy conventional fruit that is actually harvested unripe, and is also, they use chemicals on the skin, and the fruit doesn't look this ripe. Yeah, it looks really ripe, but it's not hot rotten. On the inside, the fruit will be really sweet. I also like coconut, dried coconut or coconut pulp as my fat source, as avocados as well. And I also use the refrigerator, like to froze bananas, persimmons and things like that when I have in excess, so I can blend in, I can make an ice cream, or even when I just got home from 2-week trip, if I don't have anything on the fridge, that will save me for a day or two until I can go buy some more fruits. But nowadays, I harvest a lot of my fruits and vegetables. The other tip I can give you is also, I don't have a stove for almost 20 years now. So these last 6 or 7 years, I bought a cooktop. You don't waste a lot of space with it, and you can actually heat something. If you are into cooking food, maybe you can steam it. I also recommend to use a stainless steel pan, so you don't get a lot of aluminum and a lot of other heavy metals on your food. So I don't steam it, almost never use steam it, but I do have a steamer if I need it, or if some friend or family comes by. But I also sometimes can heat for just a couple of minutes, maybe a quinoa or a lentil, so it gets way more soft, so it gets way more easier to eat these heavy starches. I don't like to eat starch, I don't feel my best, but I at least look a little bit more bulked. So it's, you know, it's a trade-off. I think we look better on starch, but I think we feel worse on it. So, but nowadays I use it a little bit because I weight lift a lot. So these are the buckets that I use to throw water on the plants. The water that I clean the dishes and the fruit peels, I just throw everything in here and get to the plant and shh. What other subjects would you want to view here? Do you want to know more about? Please comment below. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for notifications. And if you want to help our work and help yourself, 2 of my 10 books are already translated and published in English on Amazon. And Hygienic Fasting Nature Surgery is actually available print on demand also. And Natural Delicacies, Cooking Without a Stove, it's on Kindle. So if you want my help, the link below for the website and for the WhatsApp contact, you can get a consultation, retreats, online courses, and read all the books. It's life-changing information for the most updated lifestyle information out there in the planet. One of the beauties of this lifestyle is that we don't produce garbage. The garbage that we produce is actually really healthy. Healthy for the soil, healthy for the microbes in the soil, and then healthy for the plants, and then healthy for us. So the garbage actually becomes nourishment, actually becomes nutrient for us in the other side of this disposable chain of events. So all the fruit peels, the nuts, the peel of the nuts, the skin of the nuts and the seeds and everything that we eat comes back to the soil, and then it gets composted on this big wood structure. So another thing that I suggested to you, to make your own compost, or at least don't throw your garbage away in plastic bags, because that will produce more plastic, more waste, and mixing the compost with the plastic doesn't decompose. It's a mess. Living in a big city, it's hard to manage our garbage. But if you live in a small city and you have a garden and you have a fruit and vegetable-based diet, a plant-based diet, you can easily compost the soil in a healthy manner. There's also bioconstruction. I suggest you to do it. I didn't do it over here because I didn't have anyone to help me out with it. I don't know how to construct it, to build two-story houses. These are all really complex, so I didn't manage to do it, but I believe in it. I have slept in bioconstructed houses and I like it a lot. There's several ways of bioconstructing houses. I don't know all of them. Adobe, super adobe, you have to look on the internet. But there's also a way to live off the grid and to build your own house. And also living outside of the city, living with this, environment, it's really good for health for several reasons. For example, seeing the light in the morning, I'm chrono-synchronizing my biological clock in my brain. Being close to plants, we breathe the air that they secrete. They have phytoncides, these invisible gases that have a lot of benefits like anti-cancer and anti-diabetes properties. We end up sleeping more early, hearing birds, it's a lot more healthy in several different ways that we can measure, and still we can't not measure yet. So if you want to live this lifestyle, if you want to see it in person, how I do it, how I do the diet, how I do the garden, you can come over here to our retreats every January, February, and July to learn with me and to see it and to live and to harvest the fruits and to enjoy a better, healthy life. So, do you like the video? Please don't forget to comment below, share the video, and give it a thumbs up. And subscribe to the channel, and also hit the bell button for notification. And also, if you want my help as a clinical nutritionist, the contacts are here in the description below, so you can get a consultation online or in private. There are 10 books published in Portuguese, but 2 already available in English on Amazon. The Hygienic Fasting is on print on demand already. But there's also 6 online courses in Portuguese, but they will be translated to English in a near future, and also the retreats. So if you want my help, please contact me. And health is produced by healthful living. Click these videos to know more.